test, yeah. No, not a test. Ches. Ches on the base, I think. Was it on the base?
Turn the page. Right, that's going on. You only made a couple, 2 or 3 lines.
So, well, let's start. Since we don't remember, let's start. I think we're up to Chategui Choli. Let's start from the bottom of Testament Alpha. There's 2 dots. Testament Alpha at the bottom. Zosh Torah. A non-Kohen who took did the Trumas Hadeshin. Rabbi Yochanan Marchai, Rabbi Yochanan said he's liable. Shimon Lakish Amar Potter, he's exempt. Matar and Shimon Lakish, what's the reason Shimon Lakish? Avodas Maton, it says an avoda which is a gift. The avoda which gives to the Mizbeach your Chayiv. Yotzah Shubarom as opposed to Trumas Hadeshin where you're taking away from the Mizbeach. Matar Rabbi Yochanan, what's the logic of Rabbi Yochanan, who says you're Chayiv for this? Because the Chol Bar Mizbeach, for any matter of Mizbeach, including Trumas Hadeshin, a Zor is liable for doing it. Rabbi Yitzhak, Rabbi Mishem Rab said, Arba Avodos, the 4 Avodos Shekoyin Mischayev Aleim B'Bachutz, the Shekoyin is liable for doing outside the Beis HaMikdash. Zar Mischayev Aleim B'Fnim, Zar is liable for doing them in the Beis HaMikdash. Veis Zu, and which are these? Zu Aktora, putting the limbs on the Mizbeach. Zrika, doing Zrika Zadam. Nisu Chamayim, and the libation of water, V'yayin, and wine. But Trumas Hadeshin is not mentioned in the price of Asker Shemalokish, and so Shemalokish says you're exempt. Levi Omar Filu Trumas Hadeshin, no. Trumas Hadeshin also, Kohen is liable for doing it outside, and the Zor is liable for doing it inside. But Asker Rabbi Yochanan, that's Rabbi Yochanan, this is one of the avodas which you're chayav. What if a Zor goes up to the top of his back and starts raking the coals or stirring the coals? Rabbi Yochanan, you're not giving anything. I'm sorry, going to Rabbi Yochanan, it has to do with his back, so you're chayav. For Shimon Lakish, you're not putting anything in his back, so you remain potter. Hoti Shar Hadeshin. What if you took out the rest of the Deshin other than the Trumas Hadeshin? A Zor took out the other Deshin from the Mizbeach, so the Pluk Rabbi Yochanan for Shimon Lakish, it's also Machlokas. The Shimon Rabbi Yochanan, Shimon Lakish, according to Rabbi Yochanan has to do with the Mizbeach, because Shimon Lakish is not giving anything to the Mizbeach. That's like the opinion which holds that Acherim means you have to wear other garments when you take out the Deshin, which means it's still an avoda of a Kohen. So therefore Zor does these chayiv. Ram Commander, but like the opinion it says Acherim means the Rabbos Balimum, even a Balmum can take out the rest of the Deshin other than the Trumas Hadeshin, the rest of the ashes. Uzor or Balmum, there's no qualitative difference between a Zor and a Balmum. Just like a Balmum is okay, a Zor would also be okay, and it would not be chayav. This is where we got up to last night. Hakom Bodim Zor should see them Marocha Shalitzim. Everybody agrees that if a Zor arranged the wood on the fire, Shu chayav, that he's liable. Amr Rabbi said not all the wood, because all the wood that's just making a fire that's not part of the avodah. Rather, it's only the 2 logs of wood which the Torah said you have to arrange, right? The Shnei Zireitim are the culmination of the avodah, that's the primary component of the avodah, and for those, if a Zor does them, he's chayav, because that's the type of avodah. The Shurtzbat Shnei Zireitim, I assume he's coming. Well, he didn't tell me he's not coming, so. But he didn't tell me for sure he's coming either, so I don't know if you. Yeah, we can try calling him if you have Nachenu. Oh, I think I have his number. Uvad Shnirek Zirietzim. A little gimel. Will be Ein Mishpat. Uvad Shnirek Zirietzim. Only as long as it's those 2 logs of wood. Shakosam Azir Alein, which the pasuk tells us about that they must be done by Kohanim. it says that the children of Aaron should put the fire on the Mizbeach, and they should put the fire, the wood on top of the fire. Tani Rabbi said, Minayin latzosas alisa. How do we know that the ignition of the fire should only be done by a kosher kohen? Uvik lishar is wearing garments of guna, because Talmud Lomar, because the Pasuk says, the Nasu b'nei Aaron HaKohen, the children of Aaron should be the ones to put Eish on the Mizbeach, to put the fire in the Mizbeach. Rabbi Shimon says, isn't that obvious? Chiolas HaLev, did you ever think Shazor Karev Agave Mizbeach, that they're going to actually let a non-Kohen go up on top of Mizbeach? It's unheard of. So what does it mean that the children of Aaron should put Eish al Mizbeach on top of the Mizbeach? Teaches us that the ignition of the fire should only be on the top of the Mizbeach, meaning you should, I guess it means when you're lighting the fire, you should take your flint and your flintstones and your wood and light the fire on top of the Mizbeach, as opposed to doing it down below and bringing it up. Okay, so you have to ignite the fire on top of the Mizbeach. Hey Sibun, now they ask, wait a minute. Here it sounds like Rabbi Yehuda learns in this passage that a Kohen's got to do the avodah of igniting the fire. What about the next? This part says, says the fire in the Mizbeach should burn, it should not extinguish. And the end of the pasuk is critical. Yerushalmi, for some reason, drops the end of the pasuk and says, "Uvier Allah HaKohen 18 baboker baboker." The Kohen should light the fire, right? So it should be a fire, and the Kohen should light the fire. Mikan, but the problem is that here, Latzosei Shalotel Brosh Mizbeach, even Rabbi Yehuda, from this pasuk, which essentially says the same thing as the last pasuk. See, the pasuk on top it says, "Nosim ne'aron HaKohen Eishal Mizbeach or a Kohen Tzim." Here it says, so from this pasuk he learns something else. From the first pasuk he learns that it has to be Kohanim. Here he's learning that it's got to be done on top of the Mizbeach. So it's a contradiction. Rabbi Yehuda, from there he learns you have to have a kosher kohen. Because who ain't a tzurah kohen kosher. So here it doesn't say anything about requiring kosher kohen. Here it just says that it has to be on top of Mizbeach. So how do we reconcile these two things? So my answer is partial. Rabbi Tanchum Bar Yehuda Machma Minon Ember Rosh Mizbeach V'Zor. You can derive it. If it has to be done at the time of Mizbeach, so we know the Zohar can't do it. In other words, every time, Rabbi Yehuda's really learning to say anything from both psukim. It's just in each price is stressing something else. But the two things go together. If it's got to be done at the head of the Mizbeach, it has to be done by Kohen. And it's got to be done by Kohen, it has to be done by the head of the Mizbeach. So the two things go together. You can learn either thing from both psukim. Why both psukim have to be written, I don't know. But both psukim teach the same thing. Torah, the second, fourth to last line. If you do Trumas Hadeshin and the wind scattered whatever you were towing, okay, you took it off and it scattered. So we're Yotzi anyway. It's a very interesting parallel here, which ultimately Yerushalmi is going to be very displeased with. So Rabbi Chanina said, if you put the komets of the mincha, right, the tisful from the mincha on the fire, and the wind scattered it, when the last bit is scattered, the skapra of island, and atonement is achieved, the yotzi shiraim edei meila, and the shiraim, whatever is left over, are no longer susceptible to meila, they can be consumed by the kohanim. That's Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, if it's scattered by the wind, you are not yotzei. Rather, mishioch has a or berubo. You have to have the fire consume most of the komets. Ma berubo. What does the majority mean? Geruba Shokomet means the majority of the komet, or it's 51% of the komet, or Barov Kol Prayer, or 51% of each clump of dough which is in the komet. And that we do not know. But in any event, the same machlokus would be, we'll come back to actually Isamis B'Shem, Isamis also, it said that it, I'm sorry, Barov Kol Prayer Isamis. So you mean each and every clump. After B'Chizka, Rabbi Yuna, Rabbi Barber, Rabbi B'Chia, B'Shem Reyochon said, Barov Kol Prayer Isamis. You have to have the majority of each and every clump. Now, according to this, so the same machlokus should apply by Trumas Hadeshin. According to Rabbi Chanina, even if the wind scatters it, according to Rabbi Yochanan, no, you have to do the mitzvah with it, which means that if it's scattered by the wind, you're not yotzei. Okay? The Gemara is going to reject this opening. It's going to say it's a flawed comparison, but not yet. In the meantime, we're going off on a tangent here. Taram Chetzi, or rather, we're going to need another issue, related issue. Taram Chetzi, what if you only did Trumas Hadeshin, half of it, and then did the other half afterwards? So again, if you look at Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shimon Levi, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shimon Levi this time. Rabbi Yochanan said, Komet Shekidish B'Kli, once you made the Komet Kadosh, by putting into a Kli Shalis, B'Kiro, Filu Shum Shmin, even when you put it in the Mizbech, you put it on like sesame seed by sesame seed, little by little, Yotza. So here, if you did it half, you did it as well. Rabbi Shimon Levi, Mastisi Lomar Kain, not true. Elahiktir becomes so Mayim Kshera. You can't do it little drop by little drop, or little clump by little clump, rather, you had 2 times. In other words, you can put half the comments on, and then the other half, but not more than 2 times. You can't do it in thirds, or quarters. Chaim Baruch Hashem, Rabbi Shimon Levi said, "Ein kmitza pachat mishnei zeisim." Interesting, it is really following up. He says, there's no kmitza of less than 2 zeisim. Minimum is 2 zeisim. This has to hold 2 zeisim. The zeisim are very small, obviously, right? And the ein aktora pochusa mikzais, and you can't do it more than 2 times because the aktora could be no less than a zayis. So you can divide your kmitza in 2, but not in more than 2.
We must have a machlokus to what actually how you measure, because I guess there's 2 different ways.
No, I think we had a machlokus in the Bavli where there's such a thing as a shiur by kmitza. I don't think there's such a thing. I think in the Bavli Taka, now that you jog my memory, there never was a shiur given for kmitza. It's only here that we actually have seen a proposal of the shiur for kmitza. And the Yerushalmi, of course, doesn't like this either. If you have a kohen which has small hands, how is he going to do the avodah? The Yerushalmi doesn't answer the question. Tarim b'small. What if the Trumas Hadeshin with your left hand? So Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda b'Rebbe. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yehuda, the son of Rebbe. Then Rabbi Yochanan said, Komet Shekidish B'Kli, a komet which was consecrated by being put in a Kli, B'Kira, then he put in his back, Ben B'Yad, Ben B'Kli, whether with hand or whether with a vessel. Ben B'Y means Ben B'Small, and it can even be with your left hand, right? However, and it's all kosher. Yehuda b'Rebbe Omer, it should be mechatos, not mechatos. Either we learn from mechatos that you have to put it with your hand on the mizbeach, because the chatos blood was put with your hand, was put with applied with the hand. Or may asham, we learn from an asham. The keli, you put the komet to the keli mizbeach, because asham put it with a keli on the mizbeach. But vilvad b'yamin, you must use your right hand, not your left hand. To ask a question like this, so the same would be true, of course, by Trumas Hadeshin. When they asked, what time did we learn? Kibel mean if somebody accepted the blood with his right hand, but also then put the blood in his left hand from the regular korban. Yachsid mean he puts it back in his right hand. Says the Gemara, in the small machzir. Now it's a typo here. It should be according to Gillian Ephraim. It should be in the small machzir liyamin, not in his beach. In the small machzir liyamin, if you put the dam in your left hand, you can put it back to the right hand. That means the left hand is not regarded as being as if you put it on the ground, because blood once it's put on the ground, according to everybody except Rabbi Yehuda, who says you could scoop up from the ground, but according to everybody else, it's possible once it is the ground. Mm-hmm. So must if you put the blood in your left hand, it's not possible, right? You put it back in your right hand. So in the small machzir you mean lo koshkein lebezek. So also the same thing should be true about a mincha. Okay, if you brought the mincha in your left hand, but take it back and put it in your right hand. And somehow they knew that Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda holds that once you put it in the left hand, the mincha is no good anymore. Why not? If you can switch back from left to right, you switch back also here from left to right by the blood, so allowed by mincha as well. So Amar Rabbi Law said no. Im Shani Adam, if somebody said this brisa, this is strange language. If somebody said this brisa, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon Shani. It's only those Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yosef, Yehuda Rebbe doesn't have to hold like it. The title of Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon Omer, ain't a tzircha kiddush bezeh. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon holds that you do not require the mincha to the mincha to have a sanctity in the kli sharis. So therefore, you can put it back from your right hand to your left, from your left hand to your right hand. But according to Rabbi Yosef, Yehuda Rebbe, once you put it in the left hand, it's improperly sanctified, and you can't return it back to the right hand.
Isn't the kli sharis by itself a sanctified kli? So
yeah.
So
No, look. The entire Elazar Shimon Omer. I'm sorry. But I said to Rabbi Elazar Shimon, we see this Rabbi Shimon argued. Elazar Shimon followed Rabbi Shimon's father. The Tanina told we learned over there. Shelo b'kli sharis. If you put a mincha, if you didn't put a mincha in a kli sharis, it's possible. Rabbi Shimon machshir, because Rabbi Shimon holds the kli sharis by mincha superfluous. And I assume he holds the same thing by the blood. And that's why the blood, of course you have to hold the blood in the kli sharis, because how else are you going to transport the blood in your hands? But it's not that the kli sharis has a specific value to it.
it's not.
We hold that way. No, but there's Rabbi Elazar Shimon going like his father, Rabbi Shimon, right? Because we argue on him, but like Rabbi Shimon, his father, so it's not ma'akiv, right? That's how he's doing. That's how you can go back. Okay. Ma'ikadum, Rabbanan. How do you explain this now? Rabbanan these loan kli sharis. Rabbanan requires kli sharis. Tzichlon yamin. They hold once it goes in left hand, it's no good, right? Rishim leisa kli sharis. Lo tzichlon yamin. He doesn't require right hand either. So if you hold that kli sharis is just the means of transporting, so it doesn't have to be in the left hand, right hand, it has to be in the left hand too. So kli sharis is part and parcel of the avoda, so it has to be specifically in the right hand. Okay? Now, all the comparisons we just made, we reject, or we don't like them. I'm astounded. I'm astounded. This whole plot was full of comparisons between Truma Sadeshin and putting the claimants of the Mincha on the Mizbeach, and how we do that. Below the comparison is off. The comparison shouldn't be between Truma Sadeshin and Aktor. Aktor is not an essential component. It's not the component of the mincha which we should be looking at. Rather, we should be looking at the kmitza. Because Truma Sadesha, true Haktorah is like Zrika Saddam, but Truma Sadesha is not like Zrika Saddam. Truma Sadesha is like kmitza. You're taking a little bit of the ashes out of the pile. If anything, the putting of the deshin down, wherever we put it down, should be like the Haktorah, right? But not the taking up of the deshin, right? Below Damin El Kmitza, it's the only comparable to Kmitza, Zuba Rama, right? They're both picking up. Veherim, right? It says Veherim by Truma Sadesha. Vehein Veherim El, so now we're switching gears again. Vehein Veherim El B'Shashir. You should know, it says, obviously when it says, Truma Sadesha says Veherim, means you're leaving some behind. Just like Kmitza it also says Veherim, and you're leaving some behind. Asher Tochal. Now this causes us a problem. It says Asher Tochal. You should pick up the dash and Asher Tochal. Asher Salam is there. And Achila Kazayis. Achila means a Kazayis, so you have to pick up a Kazayis full of consumed coals. Okay. Now what about like this? Laya Bekulo Kazayis was a lean day in the Beit HaMikdash. There was only Kazayis with the ashes on top of the Mizbeach all together. So what do you do then? Heli told Mikdash, so not Yochel. Take part of it, you can. Shein book Zayis. He's not taking Zayis. Lidos Kuluain Yochel, you can't take all of it. Shein Kanshir would be nothing left. So you're stuck, right? What are you supposed to do? Excellent question. So good, Yerushalmi, of course, did not answer it. Okay? So you have to take that which a fire consumes. Yochel okay, you take actually the wood. Tamuloimar oila. No, it's got to be oila. Well, I mean something which is consumed. Maybe it means actually limbs of the Yeholah, which I think the Mizbeach. Tam lomar asher tocha loish, that which the fire consumed. Okay, so what do? You shovel out from the consumed inner coals on the fire, the yoyrate, and you go down in order to pick up as much as you possibly can of those fine ash. Now, when getting back to setting up the fire on top of the Mizbeach, it's best to put the fire before the wood. Mishnah, as it says, put the fire on the wood. Kidem eitzim le'esh. Should be the other way around. I didn't change it in my Gemara, but it really should be kidem eitzim le'esh. Should be kidem eish le'eitzim. Should be first the fire and then the wood. No, mitzvah hakim eish le'eitzim. The fire before the wood. And they put the eitzim ala eish.
Are you going to have the fire before the wood?
You put like the starting logs, like the way you start a bonfire.
That's a beautiful question.
I think it should be. My answer should be changed. I don't understand what the Korban and Pnei Moshe are doing. It's simple as because even the Pus said, or who eitzim aloish, right? So which I would change it. I would say it's supposed to be kidem eish leitzim. So much so that I didn't notice when I was preparing. They just assumed that that's what it's saying. Okay. Seder Achulot Torah. What happens if you put the next day's fire together before you do the Trumas Hadesh? So mashchil, so you dig down the Torah, the fire can, if necessary, you remove some wood to the Torah. In other words, the assumption is that there's still fine ash under the wood which you put on top of it. So you dig down in order to take out some of that ash to do Trumas Hadesh. Rabbi Yaakov Baracher Amar Chilpei Shol. Clearly, that's a fine question. Interesting question. Well, not so interesting, but moderately interesting. Clearly, shall comment shenoso agabi mareches laila. You put a claimant of this day on the maracha which is still there the night before. In other words, you didn't make a new maracha. You put a claimant of the next day on top of the maracha of yesterday. So what's its status? Mine. So what are you talking about? Isn't it obviously a Mishnah? You can't do anything before the Tamid Shachar. What are you putting claimants in the mincha on yesterday's wood? It's no good. So it says Gemara, Masnisin lemitzvah. No, that's a mitzvah. Matzri cholei. What are we asking equal? What about the diavad? In other words, it's a mitzvah that would probably go first, but the diavad didn't go first. What about the claimants you put on beforehand? We don't answer. Another question. Right? We know the tzitz matzah tumas mikdash v'kodosha. What are the claimants matami? The way the korban the gillian and shasa is matami sense outside the base of mikdash. By touching one of the things matami them like Sefer Torah, which is tumah d'Rabbana. So and then he answered the base of mikdash. His avod is the tzitz matzah on that. Right? What's the status? Yodai machi pasim mishum yaitze. What if you stick your hands outside the base of mikdash? They become tummy because they left the base of mikdash, even though your body stayed in the base of mikdash. That's more of a lot of mastis. Isn't a bishul kiddush other ragla v'nitmu. The son of Zakash's hands and feet, and they became tummy. Matbilan v'hein Torah. You could think of them when they become Torah. Yotza lo nifslu mishum yotzei. So when they went out.
One second.
This letter. Yodai, again, let me go back to the beginning of to 3 lines back. Yodai Maushi Posum Shriati. Lama Sisa is a Mishal Kiddush of the Viraglov. Venitmu Matbilan Vein Toros. Where do you go to the mikveh? No. It's not in the basement. There's a mikveh basement, only Kohen Gadol.
Sharamayim.
You go to Sharamayim or you go outside. I think Sharamayim is only for the Kohen Gadol. But they meant they go to the mikveh outside. So then when you come back in, it doesn't say you have to do Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim again. Why don't you have to do another Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim? Yatsa learns to didn't become possible because he left the base of Mikdash. So says the Gemara, that's true. You're right. This price would be a good ride, but Asi commanded my Ein Alina Posels be a dime. That's contingent on another sheet which we have not yet mentioned, which is that Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim doesn't get possible overnight. But the Kohen who's up all night doesn't have to do Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim the next day. But our Shaila is Matzu Baram Hacha commanded my Alina Posels be a dime. Our shaila is what about a coin to the opinion which holds that if a coin was up all night, even though it was up all night, the next morning it's Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. So shaila is also a coin who leaves the base on Mikdash and comes back, does the Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. Of course you don't answer it. Now, Ma'oshi Posum B'Shuvah Chutz Zman. What if you Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim in the middle of the night? Before daybreak, does it work for the next day? And we know that if you stay overnight, so you need a new one. But what if you did it in the middle of the night? So it's more of a Lamastis is not a Mishal Kiddush Yodav Raglav Hayoyim Lavodah Shomachor. It says you can be Mekadosh Yadayim Raglayim today for the next, early in the morning or before daybreak for the next day. So you see that you're allowed to do it even before the avodah, so the day starts. Rabbi Yochanan said, Truma Sadeshin Tchilas Avodah Shomachar. A new issue. Truma Sadeshin is the beginning of the avodah the next day. The Torah L'Kadosh Yodav Raglav Mina Kior. You have to be Mekadosh Yadayim Raglayim from the Kior HaMeshuka B'Mayim, which is the Kior at night was lowered by pulleys into the ground, into a body of water, it seems, which kept it fresh. So Lina shouldn't occur. So what happens, according to the Truma Sadeshin, he pulls up the pulley, Mekadosh Yadayim Raglayim, puts it back in the ground. Why? So it should become possible when? At daybreak. Because he holds Lina occurs at daybreak. So therefore it's in the ground already, you pick it up and you wash and then you put it back down. No. He holds Lina occurs at nightfall. So once you went from day to night and the kior was in the ground then, diet. That's sufficient. So therefore once the coin raises in the middle of the night, he can leave it raised. He doesn't have to put it back in the ground. Rabbi Yochanan said, like I told you, in Rabbi Yochanan they said, no, once he picks up, he's got to put it back down. Now, it seems like the Mishnah argues that Rabbi Yosef said, Kiddush Yodav Raglav Bayoim Ein Tzarich L'Kacham B'Layla. Mekadosh Yadayim Raglayim during the day, and you're continue on watch that night to put limbs and back limbs back. You don't need another Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. Like Rabbi Yosef, like Rabbi Yosef should, because Rabbi Yosef said, when does Lina occur? At nightfall. So if you stay on watch, you should need another Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. Because according to opinion that Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim becomes possible Lina, right? And vice versa, Kiddush Yodav Raglav B'Layla Tzor L'Kacham B'Yoyim Yibei Rebbe. You Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim at night, not like we learned before. You do have to make Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim during the following day. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Afilu Osuk B'Avodah Kol Shloisha. Rabbi Shimon argues. So Rabbi Shimon says, even you're involved in the avodah for 3 days straight, ain't it served Kiddush Yodav Raglav? You don't need a new Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. Shein Alina Poselos B'Yadayim B'Shorei Avodos. Lina is not posted your hands when you continue to do the avodah. Avod Chilas Avodah Tzarich, only the beginning of the avodah, right? But in other words, when you have an interruption. You're beginning afresh, but if you went 3 days straight, then you don't need a new Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. Since once you started, you do not need one in the middle. Why only 3 days, not 4 days? Why did you pick 3 days, not 4 days, not 10 days? Because the person can't go 3 days without sleeping. So the max avoid a person can work without falling asleep is 3 days. That's what Yerushalmi Yuma. You don't need for 3 days after 3 days to fall asleep. Therefore, I need Yerushalmi Yuma then. Okay? So how's Rav Chia Bar Yosef learn? So Rav Chia Bar Yosef, Patri Bas Nisan, he learns it differently. He says now here for the next 10 lines or so, or 15 lines, there are a tremendous amount of mistakes. The Pnei Moshe changes the whole Gemara around. I will read you the way the Pnei Moshe changes it. Okay, basically does cut and pastes throughout the Gemara here. Okay? Rav Chia Bar Yosef to tell us how he learns the Mishnah. So he learns like this. The Brisa. Kiddush Yodav Ragla Bayom. Ein Otzar L'Kasha B'Layla. If you kasha down Raglaim today, you don't have to be kasha night, which is of course not like he said, because he said night falls what makes the impossible. So he says that's why about B'Shiur Avodos. That's why about if you're continuing an Avodah. He agrees with the Rebbe, actually, the Tanakama here, says if you're beginning an Avodah, then you don't, if you can Avodah during the day, you continue at night. Now, next 2 words you erase and put instead Ba'layla. What if you began at night? So Tzor Kachmiyom is still to be Makadish the next day. Divrei Rebbe. So Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef, he can't hold like Rebbe, that's clear. But he can hold like Rabbi Lezer Rebbe Shimon. And that's what we're about to learn. Rabbi Lezer Rebbe Shimon, Afilu Osuk Ba'avodah Kol Shlosha, Eino Tzorech L'Kadish Yodav Raglav. If he's involved for 3 days straight, he doesn't have to be Kadosh Yadayim Raglaim. She'ein Halina Poseles, because Lina is not poisel Yadayim, and the next word should be Bein B'Tchilas Avodah Ben B'Shor Avodas. It never passes the hands, whether you're beginning or ending. It doesn't matter. Lina is not a problem. I just realized he really can't go like Rebbe. He has to be going like Rebbe, according to this. He has to be going like Rebbe. Because according to Rebbe, there's no Lina neither at the beginning nor at the end. There's never any Lina, right? Whether it's night, day, or day, night. So he must be going like Rebbe, and he says, that which I said, that there's Lina from day, at nightfall, from day to night, that's only if you didn't begin an Avodah. But if you began Avodah during the day, then even I can see they continue doing it at night. That must be the way Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef is learning. Rabbi Yochanan learned the Mishnah differently. The Brisa differently. Like Kiddush Yodav V'Ragla Bayom, Yekash Daim Raglayim Bayom. It should be Ein Tzarech L'Kasha B'Layla. You don't have to be Mekadosh at night, regardless whether it's beginning or end of Avodah. So the Pnei Moshe takes out the next word B'Shiur Avodos, and that's the crux of their contention. Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef learned that the only time you don't have to be Kaddish at night after the day ends is when you began Avodah during the day and you continue it at night. However, according to the way Rabbi Yochanan learns, even if as long as you're Kaddish Daim Raglaim during the day, even if you're beginning a new Avodah that night, you still don't have to be Kaddish Daim Raglaim. Because Lina, according to him, is not from day to night, but rather from night to day the next morning. And that's what goes on to say, but Laila, if you're Mekadosh at night, Tzorech L'Kasha B'Yom, you have to be Mekadosh day, even if you're continuing the same Avodah. Even Rebbe, that's Rebbe. Rabbi Lezer Rebbe Shimon Omer, Afilu Osuk Ba'Avodah Kol Shlosha, even if I was involved in Avodah 3 days straight, Ein Tzorech L'Kadish Yodav V'Raglav, you don't have to be Mekadosh Yadayim Raglaim, She'ein Alina Posels B'Yadayim Lina, does not parcel the hands. And here the Pnei Moshe makes his final correction. It should be B'Shiur Avodos, when you're continuing the same Avodah for 3 years straight. But if you begin a new Avodah sometime in the middle of those 3 days, then even Rabbi Lezer Shimon holds you need a Kiddush Yadayim Raglaim for that. Period. Nusov, end of Tikkunim. Chilfei Omar. Chilfei said, K'shem she'im lina posas b'yadayim. You know what? Just like Lina doesn't parcel your hands, according to me, Lina doesn't pass your hands. Kachin Alina Posos Bakir. So to Lina doesn't pass the water kir. You don't have to put the pulley down in the ground at night. I see some Rabbi Chilvia. I see the Mishnah Irish Rabbi Chilvia. Chilfa. Mishnah says, Kiddush Yodav Ragla Bayom, Yekash Yadayim Raglaim Juday, Ein Tzorech Kadosh Bayom, don't think Kadosh at night. But Laila Tzorech Kadosh Bayom. Kadosh at night, you have to be in Kadosh at day, Divrei Rebbe. So see, Lina doesn't, the Lina, ruins your Kiddush Adayim line. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Losu, Bavoda, Kol Shloshim, and Tzor Kasher Davragov, Shein Lina Posels be a dime. Right? Now, besides that, even according to the list, Rabbi Shimon says the Gemara, Habeki are Poselas. Their whole machlok is about Yadayim. Very interesting riot. Their whole machlok is about Yadayim, Rabbi Lezer Shimon. But they never talk about the Kior. If even the Kior is not possible by Lina, let them argue even a bigger machlokes. What the status of the Kior is, a much bigger Kiddush. That the Kior is not, that doesn't become possible, Lina. So it must be they only argue about Yadayim, because on Kior they all agree that if it doesn't go beneath the ground, then it passes. There's more, no. Talmidei, Talmidei Rabbi Yochanan, M'shem Chilfi Ha'acheni. So Talmidei Rabbi Yochanan, this is such a good question. Talmidei Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Chilfi, said, this is what Chilfi said. M'shem Chilfi Ha'acheni. What I'm telling you now is neither like the Korban Pnei Moshe. Korban says, Ha'acheni means this is the way to read the Brisa. And the Korban said, the Pnei Moshe says Ha'acheni was his name. It was his last name. His name is Chilfi Ha'acheni. But I don't think either of the Shadim are correct. What I think it means is that Talmidei Rabbi Yochanan Chilfi said, Ha'acheni, this is what Chilfi said. What Chilfi said is not that the Kior doesn't become possible. You can't say it. Right? He said, Kiddush Yoda V'Ragul V'Chulei Shein Alina Posels B'Yadayim. No, the Lina doesn't pass land, so the Kior Poselos. And even Chilfi agrees that the Kior passes, except he holds Bilvad B'Yom L'Layla. He holds the Kior Bar Yosef, that the psul of Lina by hand is from day to night, not from night to day. Okay, period. New sugi. It said at the beginning of the parak that they run up the kevish, right? They make a ring to the 4 amos. Which one is it? Ma. Bein b'soch arba amos for kevish. Is it the 4 amos on the ramp, right near at the beginning of the ramp, or b'soch arba the last 4 amos before the top of his bech? Says more, it must be the last 4 amos before the mizbech. Why? We might need for that. We learned Ma'aser Sheyushnaim Shavim. That there was a case where there were 2 people running neck and neck, Ratzim v'olim b'kevish going up the ramp. Odamar teaches b'soch arba amos mizbech. They're running up the mizbech together. Rabbi Yisrael Rabun b'feirush shayla Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia learned this explicitly called Kodim B'schaver. Anybody precedes his friend b'toch arba amos mizbech to the last 4 amos before the mizbech. Zocha, he gets the right to Truma Sadesha. Now that was before one guy pushed the other guy and broke the leg, right? Now later on, he decided to make a lottery. So he said, Ma'at Biyu. So it said in the Mishnah that he tells them all to stick out their fingers. So how do they stick out their fingers? If a guy sticks out one finger, Ma'at Biyu, what does that Biyu mean? It says Biyu, what does that mean? Mino Biyu Etzba, stick out the finger. Otziachas, if a guy sticks out one finger, Moinlo, he counts for it. Stein, sticks out 2 fingers, Moinlo, he counts for it. Shalai, sticks out 3 fingers. Aimel, though, we don't count him. Mal ein moinim lo, what does it mean don't count him? Mal ein moinim kol ikar, Mal ein moinim kol ikar, no, ein moinim lo sisir. No, you count him 2, but not 3. Arba, but if the guy sticks out all 4 fingers, that's a tremendous chutzpah. Hamemuna makil so bepakia. The guy in charge of the lottery hits him with his stick, or his whip, ubatul apais, and the lottery is cancelled, and you have to do it from scratch because it was cheating like that. Okay, Emotina will go to Mamikdash. We also didn't take out a thumb the base of the Shemriya because we said you can go like this and spread your thumb from your finger and be counted as if you're 2 separate people, right? When you want to start a pious, you don't say, I'm starting from Reuven. Because maybe some people hear Reuven, they'll think it meant, Shimon, or like the 2 names which could be similar, right? They'll say Zalman, and somebody else will think he said Kalman, right? So, Ela Mamuna, how did you determine starting point? Mamuna, the guy in charge, Magdia, Mitznefto Shech, he would take off the hat of one of them. So everybody know that's where the pie started. But you know the Shemenu Pais Master says Gemara, Wait a minute. Maybe when he picks a number, he'll pick a number which will come out on his buddy. So let's say there are 10 Kohanim, he'll say, and his buddy is number 6, so he'll pick number 6, right? So how do we prevent that? So the way, there are two interpretations of Kohev and what Kuvliar means. Either they stood like a chain, or they stood like a concentric circle, like springs, like a spring going round and round. In other words, they stood in a way that made it impossible for the person in charge to actually know precisely how many Kohanim there were, unless he obviously stood there and counted meticulously. And that way, there's no possibility that he's going to pick a number which is going to come out specifically on the guy he wanted. How do pipes go from right to left? So I would count from right to left would be, if I was counting you, I'd go from you to you to you. I always around to the right because I'm going around to your right. Okay. Talmidei Rabbi Yonah b'shem Rabbi Chilva said, "Hacheni." No, the students of Rabbi Yonah named Rabbi Chilva said it's like this. The opposite. At least I skipped. Sorry. Amar Rabbi Bar Chia min mad the time for that which it says Mishazach b'Ktoros. So since it says a person who is zoch in the Ktores, Omer Lazeh Shal Yamin, it says the guy on his right. Of Atlamach, you call me to do the shovel. Adama teaches us you mean a pice, always go to the right in a pice, because that's why the guy turns to his right to say, you come with me. You mean a pice? Talmidei Rabbi Yonah b'shem Rabbi Chilva said no. Acheni, on the contrary, this is the way it is. The smaller pice mouth fly around like this. And when interesting logic, he says, we go around like this. And then you pick the guy. If I pick you for the Torah, you pick him to help you. Why is that? So he says, very interesting logic. He says, because he's been passed over twice already. So as a consolation, we give it to him, right? Because the pies is going this way, right? So the guy to your the guy to your left. Yeah, the guy to your left, he didn't get passed over twice already, right? He got passed over twice already, so we give it to him, as opposed to the guy on your left. So we're counting always to the left, and that's why you take the guy immediately before you, who just missed, as being your fellow. Okay? So you give it to Zeshua Paish Nepan, Zeshua Paish and not the guy only over whom which will pass only once. So this is another Ma'aseh brought down the Gemara in the Bavli. Ma'aseh where one got the Mizbeach within first, Nathan Chaver Sasakin, his friend took a knife, took a leaf and plunged it in his heart. Amar lo Rabbi Tzadok Amal Sulam, so Rabbi Tzadok stood on the steps of the Lulam. Amar and he said to them, Shimuni Achai B'Adam, it says if you find a dead person on the ground, Yotzos Kenech V'Shaltecha, your elders and your judges go out. Where should we measure from? Mina Hechel, Mina Hazoros. Should we measure from the Hechel, from the Hazorah? How can we measure such a tragedy? Shanko Amabachin, so everybody started crying. While they're involved in crying, Nichnas Avishal Santino, the father of this lad came in, Amalek said, I will atone for you. My son is still gasping for breath. And therefore, Lord, meet the mates Sasakin, the knife which was plunged into his heart didn't become Tomei. Malami teaches us, Tuma Koshlem Shvichus Damim was denied that they were more concerned with Tuma than Shvichus Damim, which is of course a very derogatory comment about them. The Mashbiach says the word L'gnai was obviously put in as a later Hagah. It wasn't part of the Yerushalmi originally. Of course, it's not so obvious, but it is reasonable to say that. It's only later put in the word L'gnai. That don't think that we're giving more value to Tumah and Dara over Shvichus Damim. So these guys were idiots, and they were idiots, but they had distorted values, and we should not learn from them, and we will end there.